Every 4 years, football runs the most expensive audition on earth. 30 days, billions watching. And for a handful of players nobody knew in May, a price tag that multiplies by 10 before September. This is the World Cup effect, the fastest wealth creation event in sports. And this summer, it just happened again. Here's the mechanism. For 11 months a year, a brilliant player in a smaller league is a rumour. Scouts know him, analytics departments track him. But club boards, the people who sign the checks, hesitate. Is he real? Can he do it against the best? Nobody wants to spend 50 million on a rumour. Then the World Cup puts the rumour on the same pitch as the best defenders alive, in front of every decision maker in football simultaneously. One great tournament doesn't just prove a player, it removes the doubt discount, and the doubt discount is worth tens of millions. History runs this experiment every cycle. Unknown players enter group stages valued in single-digit millions and leave as 9-figure transfer targets. Young stars double and triple their valuations in a month. Veterans written off as finished play their way into 2 more mega contracts. The pattern is so reliable that clubs call it World Cup tax, the premium you pay for buying a player in August instead of May. Smart clubs sign targets before the tournament for exactly this reason. The rest pay the tax. Why does the discount exist at all? Football scouting is drowning in data, but boards don't buy data, they buy conviction. A director of football can hand over a dossier full of expected goals numbers, pressing stats, progressive carries, all of it screaming that a player is elite. The board still hesitates, because none of those numbers were produced under the one kind of pressure that actually settles arguments. No rotation to hide behind, no easy fixtures to pad a stat line, one mistake broadcast to 1 billion people. A World Cup is the only setting in football that supplies elite opposition, maximum stakes, and total visibility at the same time. That combination is what gets priced. Everything before it is a promising resume. The tournament is the interview. That's why the repricing happens so fast and so violently. The player didn't get better in June. The market simply agreed, all at once, on what he already was. Valuation isn't measuring talent, it's measuring certainty. And certainty in football finance is worth more than the talent itself. Think of it as an information problem, not a talent problem. Every market that prices human performance runs on incomplete information, and football is no exception. A club's data department might rate a player identically to how the club rates him after the tournament. The underlying model doesn't change. What changes is who else now shares that belief. Before the tournament, only the analytically sharpest clubs were willing to act on the data alone. Everyone else needed public proof. The World Cup converts a private conviction held by a few insiders into a public consensus held by the entire market simultaneously. And when 100 buyers agree on a valuation at once instead of trickling in one at a time, the seller doesn't negotiate, he auctions. That shift from private belief to public consensus is the real event. The football is just the mechanism that produces it. The transfer fee is only the first domino. Here's the full chain. Layer 1. The transfer market. A smaller league club holding a breakout player's registration goes from negotiating with 2 or 3 interested sides to running an auction with a dozen. Release clauses that looked generous in May look like theft by August. Selling clubs stall talks on purpose, because every extra week of tournament highlights adds another 0 to the price. Layer 2. Boots and gear. Boot brands run multi-year pipelines, signing teenagers to modest deals, hoping one eventually breaks out. A standout World Cup collapses that pipeline into a single month. Brands that passed on a player in spring are suddenly renegotiating, bidding against rivals for a signature he would have given away for a fraction of the price 12 weeks earlier. Layer 3. The endorsement economy, and this is the layer people underestimate most. A player's home market, telecoms, banks, airlines, insurers, wants a trusted face attached to their brand, and nothing manufactures trust faster than a nation watching him deliver on the biggest stage available. Follower counts don't creep during a World Cup, they jump by millions in weeks, and as we covered in the Ronaldo video, an audience is an asset. Sponsored post rates scale directly with reach, so that follower spike isn't vanity metrics, it's a balance sheet line. A player can leave the tournament with an endorsement portfolio worth more than his previous playing contract, without kicking another ball after the final whistle. There's also a 5th layer that compounds quietly in the background: national team currency. A breakout tournament doesn't just change a player's price at his club, it changes his standing with his federation, which changes appearance-based bonuses, kit royalties, and his leverage the next time a friendly tour promoter or a federation sponsor wants his name on something. It's a smaller number than the club-level windfall, but it stacks on top, and unlike a club contract, it renews every time the national team plays for years. Add it up, and the shape of the opportunity becomes obvious. For a true breakout star, the transfer premium, the endorsement explosion, the upgraded contract, and the decade of enhanced earning power that follows from all three compounding together, 30 days of football can swing a career's total value by hundreds of millions of dollars. This windfall doesn't belong to the players who are already superstars. Their price was public before the plane landed home. It belongs entirely to the unknowns, the maybes, the he's good but has he done it against real competition names. The World Cup is the only event in sports where anonymous to icon happens in a single month, because it's the only event that manufactures certainty at that scale, that fast in front of everyone who matters at once. But the machine runs in reverse too, and this is the part clubs and players fear more than they admit out loud. Reputation isn't just built at a World Cup, it's stress tested there. A big-name player who arrives as a known commodity and delivers a flat tournament doesn't just fail to gain a premium, he actively loses leverage. Transfer conversations that were nearly finalised quietly stall. Release clauses clubs were ready to trigger get reviewed instead. Sponsors rarely cancel loudly. They simply let existing deals lapse at expiration and decline to renew, no press release required. A single disappointing 30 days can cost an established star the final mega contract of his career, the one meant to fund retirement, not just top up an already full account. This is exactly why the pressure at a World Cup is unlike anything club football produces. In a league season, a bad month gets buried under 37 other matches. At a World Cup, there's no next game to redeem a bad one. Sometimes there's no next tournament at all. Every touch is simultaneously a football moment and a financial event, for the player and for everyone with money riding on him. So as this World Cup wraps up, don't just track who lifted the trophy, track the price tags. The real results of this tournament don't land with the final whistle, they land over the next 8 weeks, in transfer fees, in boot deals, in contract renewals, in sponsor press releases that read like nothing changed even though everything did. The scoreboard resets to zero next cycle. The valuations don't. They compound, following the player into his next contract, his next boot deal, his next decade, and that's exactly what we're covering next. The transfer window is about to explode, and every deal that gets announced has a money story the headlines skip entirely, who actually profits, who overpaid, and who just quietly cashed in the best 30 days of their career. Subscribe now. The World Cup was the audition. The payday starts Monday.